So today, I chose gratitude as the topic, as opposed to what I've seen done in every service before the new year. In most New Thought centers, the service before the new year turns out to be a burning bowl ceremony. And if you're not familiar with a burning bowl ceremony, it's simply where you write down that which you want to be released. And you put it in a bowl, and at the end, after everyone's put it there, it's like a ritual, and they flame it, and everything disappears. And I thought about, as I was reading A New Design for Living by Ernest Holmes, he talks about that. And he talks about the aspect that we really don't have to go to the past to let go of something. But what we can do is we can go and see what's working in our lives now and start adding our focus onto that. And so we're building on it. We allow and accept that the past is already within us. That has been our experience, but the past is not our truth. And as we put new thought upon new thought upon new thought into our minds that is going toward what we want, we change the overall chemicalization of who we are, and that chemicalization causes us to create something new in our lives. Chemicalization was a term that was used at the beginning of New Thought by Charles Fillmore. And it's about the process that happens within the mind and within the body when new thoughts are interjected, and those new thoughts being fed into it are releasing the old thoughts, which release the old experience. But as long as we keep having the old thoughts and we allow them to remain there, we're not putting new thoughts in. You see, we can do a burning bowl, and it'll feel great for a moment, but if we go back to the old way of thinking, we have recreated the event again. Nothing happens. It's the same thing as that you can go to a minister, to a practitioner, to a healer and receive a physical healing. Physical healings are demonstrated all over the world all the time. But that physical healing is short and it's temporary. Because the thing that caused the disease in the first place was a mental attitude within our minds. And unless we shift the mental focus, we shift the mental makeup of where we are, it's got to go back to where it was, because behind every effect, behind everything, is a cause. So I believe that gratitude is one of the greatest keys to healing. And when we think about this idea of what is healing, healing is not just about a physical ailment. Healing is about any aspect of life that is not working toward us. So what does healing mean? True healing takes place when we realize our connection with the One. You can call it God, you can call it universal mind, you can call it Yahweh, you can call it anything you want. But there's only one, and it's infinite, it's everywhere present. And when we get into that state of alignment with the One, when we have embodied that oneness, there's no possible way that dis-ease can be with us. Because in that oneness, there is no problems, because there's no duality. You see, in the idea of connection with oneness, there cannot be duality. And so when we live from a state of gratitude, we cannot have discomfort. We cannot have lack. We cannot have anything but gratitude for where we're being focused. And so when we look at it, and we look at this idea of healing, whatever aspect, if it's not a physical healing, trust me, there's emotional things that need to be healed. There are intellectual thought processes that need to be healed. Because if you did not need or want a healing, you've already moved back into pure bliss. You would not be in physical body, because to be in physical body means there's always going to be contrast. Just being in physical body, there's hot and cold. How many people are cold right now? Anyone here hot? Yep, it's the women. It's always those women that got this temperature gauge in them that you never know from a guy's perspective. You just don't know what it's going to be, and you just sort of just flow with it. You just, see, that's when you're with God. You flow with the women. So I want to talk about this idea. It's about if we don't shift, let's assume we have a disease, a physical ailment. Let's say it's a headache. If we don't shift our focus away from that into something that we're grateful for, then the focus is on what? The headache. When the focus is on the headache, what must be attracted to it? More headache. So when a woman looks at a man and says, honey, I've got a headache, and he says, I know how to fix that, you ought to trust him. Because continuing to focus on the headache will only draw more to it. So the idea is wherever your problem is, whatever you're worried about, you want to move off of that because you cannot fix it. Einstein said you cannot fix a problem at the level of consciousness in which it was created. So to dwell on a problem is only going to amplify the problem in our lives. So the idea is, okay, well, how do we get out of that? Go and find out what you're grateful for in your life. Find those aspects. If it's a physical healing, find those aspects in your life right now that you're happy about. So your head may hurt, but boy, I've got beautiful fingernails. My skin is nice. I can walk. I can move. Whatever it is, you start being grateful for something in the area of life that you want to demonstrate something new in. And you can go on a gratitude rampage. I like to do that. When something's going on, I literally take myself into a rampage on gratitude. Gene and I were driving from College Station a few years back when my son Matthew was still at A&M. And we were coming back and I said, let's play. Let's do a gratitude rampage. I went 30 minutes on expressing nothing but gratitude, one after another after another. It was one of the greatest highs I've ever experienced. Because if you were to do 30 minutes of gratitude, think about where your mind is, where your energy is. You are going to be lifted. You're not going to have a problem in the world. You see, we've been taught to focus on the problem, to fix the problem. What we've been taught is to stay in the problem. What is it John Lennon said? Go to love. Love is all you need. What is love? Love is the recognition of the divine. What is the divine? It's all the good in your life, in my life. And when we go and we recognize that, we go back into that state of oneness. Gratitude is always focusing on what we have, not what we don't have. So we're focusing on money. Let's make the assumption we want more money. We focus on the money that we have. We focus on the nice clothes we have. We focus on the car we have. We focus that we have things. We're focusing on what we have. You see where I'm coming? If we're looking for a relationship, we can focus on all of the relationships we have. It may not be this ideal person that we're fictitiously led to find. But we have a lot of great relationships because we cannot be in the world and have a void. So if you do not, let's say you're a man and you're looking for a female partner, you don't have a void of a female partner because somehow whatever you desire from that female partner, you're being fulfilled in some other way. There might be 10 other people or there might be situations, but that void of what that representation is, you are being fed because there cannot be a void in the universe. You just may not have opened up to being able to see how that void is being filled. I realized that when my mother passed away, almost 2 years ago this January, that I thought would mean a tremendous void in my life. My mother and I talk 5 to 6 times a week. She was one of my best friends in the world. What I found is no sooner than Mom passed, I was able to realize that all that I was being fed through my relationship with her, I started to get from other people. New people came in, or people in my life started to expand their role in my life. So the void that I had thought was there with my mom, I realized was filled from other places. You see, there can never be a void in the universe. Think about that. If we believe that God is infinite, that means there's no place that God is not. So if there's no place that God is not, there's no place that love is not. There's no place that love is not. That means there's always love in our lives, in every moment, in every place, in every person we're with. The key thing is, how do we open our eyes to see that? My belief is that gratitude is the filter that allows us to see that. So when we look at ourselves, New Year's, right around the corner, right? And what happens on New Year's? Everybody gets into, did you make a New Year's resolution? What's yours? Is it on weight? Is it on money? Is it on relationship? Is it on a new car? Is it a new job? What is it? When we focus on a resolution like that, we're focusing on what we don't have. Why is it that almost all resolutions fail? Because you're focusing on what you don't have. But if we focus on what we have in our lives and we're willing to open ourselves to an expansion of it, but we're going to continue to focus on the having of what we've got and being grateful for we got it, it creates and amplifies a universal law that must bring more to it, because what we think becomes the magnet through which we experience and through which we attract. See, if we don't go to gratitude, we will symptomatically attract more of what we've got. Gratitude is a way of seeing life. And I was reading the other day that in gratitude, it allows us to celebrate. When you're in a gratitude state, are you celebrating life? Yes. Are you miserable when you're grateful? No. You're celebrating. When you are grateful, can you be thinking about something that's negative? No. You can't. You can't do two things at once. There's no such thing as multitasking. All of you forget it. You've heard me say it before, but forget it. You cannot multitask. The mind can focus on one thing at a time, period. You see, when the mind is focused on gratitude, there's no way pain can be in. Feel that? One of my spiritual teachers, Paramahansa Prajnananda, he is probably the most beautiful human being I've ever witnessed in my life. And he's a little 5'3" Indian gentleman who is the leader of Kriya Yoga. And Baba, meaning father in India, and that's how you refer to him. And you would say, Baba, why are you so happy? And Baba will look at you and says, because I've got so much to be grateful for. And he looks at you with his big eyes, these brown eyes that are bigger than anything, and he says, I am grateful to be with you, to be present with you. And he says, I'm grateful for the food that we're sharing together. And he actually lives his life constantly expressing gratitude. So when he's talking with you, everything that he says is in a state of gratitude. He is not talking about what's your problem and that. He says, oh, you have so much to be grateful for. Look at where you live. Look at how comfortable it is. Look at this beautiful food in front of us. Look at the people here who are sharing. You see, you can find something to be grateful for no matter what your situation is. Tony Robbins, I remember him saying, someone said to him, how can I be grateful? My partner just left me. They were having an affair with this other person. And he looked at the person and he says, now you can find someone who will truly appreciate you for who you are. You see, you can switch anything to this idea that you have made way through an old experience to attract that which you really desire into your life. But you see, it's a mindset that we go through. And gratitude opens our minds and creates that filter through which we get to see life. Gratitude always blocks negative emotions. Holidays, one of the most emotional times of the year. Psychologists and psychiatrists, this is their heyday. They love this time of year because their couches and their chairs are filled. If you're feeling down, sit down, take out a piece of paper, and start writing a list of everything that you're grateful for. You can start with your body and say, I'm grateful for my left big toe. I'm grateful for my left index toe. And you start going through your whole everything in your life, and you just spend some time writing the gratitude. Within 5 minutes, you will shift your mood. I promise you, 5 minutes, you will shift your mood. And when you shift your mood, your energy shifts. When your energy shifts, you attract new experience. But if you're going to go around and you're going to talk about, I can't wait for 2012 to end. I can't wait for New Year's Day to get here. My question is, and I posted this on Facebook when someone was saying this yesterday, why are you waiting until 2013? Why aren't you starting now? You see, we've built up this idea that New Year's Day is the kickoff of the new year. And I want to tell you that now is the beginning of your life. It's not tomorrow. It's not tonight. It's now. This is the only moment you've got. You don't have later. You don't have yesterday. You have now. So if you can be grateful for now, you have everything you've ever wanted. And when you have everything you ever wanted, you're telling the universe, I'm complete. You see, when you are grateful and you're affirming all that you are, the universe hears that you're a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because when you go into a state of gratitude, you are becoming one with the Christ. You're becoming one with the Buddha. You're becoming one with the infinite. Because God does not know lack. It only knows abundance, and it is infinite. So when you start affirming over and over and over your gratitude for what you are and what you have and what you're experiencing, you're building up a momentum in you that must say to everything around you, I am it and it is me. Sounds a little narcissistic, doesn't it? Amen. Breathe it in. Because if that's narcissistic and I can be in a state of gratitude and be in the oneness, then I can look at you and I can see you for who you are. Because sometimes, people say, well, I got to have that person to fill me. No, that person can't fill you until you fill yourself. There is no other person in the world that can make you feel good other than you. And when you are grateful for you, here's the kicker. This is why gratitude is so great. When you are grateful, you feel self-worthy. You feel self-love. You know that you are enough. You know that you are complete. There is nothing in the world that you need. And when you do that, you start to walk like this. You're strutting. Because you know, when you walk down the street and you watch people walk, you know people who feel good about themselves. Because it's an air, it's an aura, it's an energy. Because think about it, all we are is energy. That's all the universe is energy, and there's consciousness. And consciousness takes the energy, and based on the sum total of thought that we are, forms it into a shape, into an energy mass, into a magnetic force that attracts more of that energy to it. So you can always tell whether the energy you are is aligned by what are you attracting into your life. What is the experience you're having with another person? What is the experience you're having with yourself? What is the experience you're having with money? If it's not what you desire, go to gratitude. Shift the focus. This is the one that I wrestled with the most. This was the difficult one. This is where the work really happened for me. And that was to know God, to truly be in oneness. I have to be grateful for everything. Did you hear that? I have to be grateful for everything. Because if you think about it, everything is God in expression. And if you exclude something, you're excluding part of God. If you're excluding something, are you unconditionally loving? No. So if you're not unconditionally loving, are you loving at all? No. Because either you are or you're not. It doesn't mean that you have to condone a way of behavior, but if that behavior came up in your life, you've got to say, okay, that's the contrast. I can be grateful for it because it gave me the clarity on where I'm going next. Does that make sense? If you've had a disease in your past and that disease caused great pain, you can be grateful for it because now you're focused more on health. You desire to have more health. You are willing to do more to have health. If you've had one bad relationship or two bad relationships or three or four or five or six, you're grateful to all of them because they have opened you up to be able to say, now I know what I want in a partner. And it's not to fulfill me, but it's to grow and support me as I unfold in my magnificence. You see, Christmas Eve, we talked about the birth. We talked about the birth of consciousness within us. And that consciousness that is desiring to come forth within each of us is the one to know the infinite. That's why we're here today, so that we can understand what does it mean to feel the infinite. The only way we can feel the infinite is when we embrace all things. So why does meditation work here? You see, when we go into meditation and we quiet those thoughts and we come into a state of equilibrium or logos, there's none of this or that. There's just now. And when you're so totally in the now, you're in a state of unconditional love. When you're in a state of gratitude, on a gratitude rampage, you're in the state of now. And you're in a state of oneness. So, how are you going to end this day? Practical things we can do. When something happens and it becomes aware in your mind, ask this question: what can I be grateful for? How can I see this and be grateful for it? When you wake up in the morning, before you do anything, be grateful for something. Be grateful for 2, 3, 4 things. When you finish your day and you're lying in bed, before you close your eyes, be grateful for something. If you're a person who likes to journal, take out a journal and start writing 3, 4, 5 things a day. What am I grateful for? When you meet someone that you know, walk up to them and say, I'm grateful for your smile. I'm grateful to know you. I'm grateful that you came today. I'm so glad you're here with me. You see, we can literally create a life where every moment we're grateful. And when we do that, not only do we change our lives, but we change the world. Gratitude is the single greatest prayer that we could ever speak. Gratitude is the single greatest way we can live life. So as I look at you, I want you to know how grateful I am that you are in my life. Because as you are in my life, I promise you, I will do everything I can to be with you in the sense of oneness, to help the two of us, 3 of us, or all of us together to experience that divine. Because that's what agape means, to unconditionally care, to love, to accept everyone and everything. So begin this day with a little agape and end this day with a little gratitude.